why Israel exists as a country, it is critical to the stability of that region. It is critical to have a democratic partner there. Now, as we are all feeling right here in this room, democracies don't always elect great leaders. And, you know, when I think about my daughter, the only prime minister of Israel she's known in her entire childhood is Bibi Netanyahu, who I don't think has done a favor to Israel in terms of its global standing, and has also done horrific things in Gaza. And I think we need to work toward a two-state solution. I think we need probably better leadership in Israel to do that. And I think we also, though, can't be negotiating with Hamas, which is essentially a terrorist organization. They have not been good stewards to the Palestinians and the people of Gaza either. It is a very complex, very tough situation. Obviously, we need Israel and others to be doing more to address the famine and horrific things that have been happening in Gaza since October 7th. But I think long-term, we need adults in the room who are going to focus on a long-term sustained peace in the Middle East, in Israel, and in Gaza. But right now, the leadership in Israel and the leadership in Hamas is not going to get us there. Yes.
So Zori Horowitz was here last month, and she did address this topic, and she was able to call it a genocide, which of course it is. I didn't hear you use that term. And she won't take AIPAC money. I know Joe Regan won't either. And because of her belief in human rights for everybody, she doesn't support weapons and money going to Israel. National polls for the past 2 years show that Americans do not want our money and our weapons going to Israel while they are on trial for genocide, right? So Netanyahu is more than a bad guy. He's a war criminal. Joe Biden got us in as co-conspirators in this genocide. The fact that Americans don't want it, and all of the Democrats as well as Jeff Crank have voted every single time, to send money and to send the weapons. And you talk about reining in the lawlessness. We have Leahy Law. There's like 6 different, the Leahy Act, and then of course the Geneva Conventions that our country we've just like thrown out. That's what it's so disturbing, and I can't believe it. You talked about the Marshall Act, like we came out of World War II, like we were the heroes. Yep. And I think the way we look to the world right now is we are terrorists because of what we are doing in Gaza. So I don't know, but so would you continue to send arms knowing that they're being used to commit war crimes? Would you support that?
I am deeply concerned. First of all, I don't take AIPAC money either, so I just want to be clear about that. And
but would you vote for the bombs? Like we just sent how many billions just a couple weeks ago, and only Lauren Boebert was the only House rep that didn't do it.
I think we should obviously have we need to have a much more comprehensive discussion about the way we are.
Would you respect the Leahy Act?
I don't know all the parts of the Leahy Act, but I can look at that. I am deeply concerned about what is happening in Gaza, and I share.
It says that we can't be sending aid to countries that are not following that are breaking humanitarian rights.
Yes.
International law and humanitarian law.
Well, and we're still obviously the case against Israel is still working through its process, and I think we need to let that process play out. But I do think it's important to have democracy there. I am deeply concerned, as I shared with you, around the leadership or lack of leadership of Bibi Netanyahu. I don't think he's been a good steward of that democracy, just like Trump hasn't been a good steward of our democracy. And I think there's a lot of reasons that the global order is changing and the globe looks poorly upon us. I understand I'm not giving you an answer that you like, but that's...
No.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of innocents that are being murdered, and like 600 during a so-called ceasefire, right? And children, babies.
Yes, I know.
But you can't commit to calling it a genocide and not. They're a first world country, a nuclear armed country. Why are we even supporting them? Why do they need our money? They all have free health care.
They've been surrounded. I'd like to move on to a lot of other questions, but they have been, obviously, there's a long history around Israel and why it exists. and why, we have defended them historically since the 1940s and 50s.
They're aggressors right now.
Yes.
Genocide, not self-defense.
Yes.